Rolling Hills by Stacy Davidovitz. Are we there yet? 14, 15, 16, 17. Smiley counted the rows from the front of the bumpy, AC-deprived bus to where she stood almost 3/4 back. It was the right row for her to be in, she decided, because it was her fourth summer at the Hills, and she wasn't the oldest camper, but definitely not the youngest either. Hey, take a seat back there. Smiley didn't think the bus driver was shouting specifically at her. Other kids were standing too, but she thought she'd better sit down just in case. It wasn't like she had anyone to talk in another row. She was just afraid she would explode if she didn't stretch her legs. She was shaking. She was so excited. I will pull over. Don't make me say it again. She could understand if one of the newbie One Tree Hill girls was still standing. But the Notting Hill girls, now scurrying into their seats, should know better. Since they were going into 9th grade, upper campers should be good role models after all. Thank you, the bus driver called in a raspy voice. Slimy guessed it was from shouting all the time. That or smoking. Shouting, she hoped, since smoking was bad for you. Slimy gave a silent sigh and leaned against the window for some shut-eye. 2 hours had passed already, and if she napped for just an hour more, she would wake up at camp. That plan lasted all of 3 heartbeats before she got antsy. List-making time. She reached into her frayed purple LL Bean backpack. It was 3 years old, but it was perfect for camp because she could get it dirty and not care. And took out her sketchbook. She got to work. Things to do now that I'm in Anita Hill cabin. Number 1. Be a good role model. Make a special camp collage of my friends and our inside jokes. That's number 2. Number 3. Box stitch extra lanyard keychains for mom since stress makes her lose her keys. And number 4. Spend a lot of time with my camp sister or soul sister or BFF. Slimy had always wanted a sister, and she treasured the times she and Melman pretended they were fraternal twins, separated at birth. Fraternal, because they looked nothing alike. Twins, because their birthdays were only 3 days apart, and they'd always understood exactly how the other felt. Until last summer. But that wasn't Melman's fault. Slimy couldn't expect anyone to understand that kind of throat-closing, belly-plummeting pain. She didn't want to either. She'd gotten used to the I feel bad for you smiles and awkward pats on the back. They didn't make her feel like curling up in a ball under 50 fleece blankets anymore. They just unleashed a few seconds of heartache, like eating pop rocks with Sprite. She could deal with that level of pain on her own. She had to. All Slimy wanted was for everything to stay amazing at camp, like it always was before. She grimaced as she lifted her practically crazy glued leg from the green leathery seat. It left a sweat stain, which was embarrassing, so she put it right back where it was. She didn't really care about that stuff. Wouldn't care if it was any of her cabin mates sitting next to her. But the actual girl sitting next to her was one of the Notting Hill cabin campers. The two girls weren't close, they'd never even spoken, and Slimy knew they probably wouldn't talk the whole trip. Unless the Notting Hill girl saw the stain and said, "Ew." But Slimy doubted even that would happen, because Notting Hill was in the aisle seat, talking to her friends. They were 2/3 of the way there, and the Notting Hill girl hadn't even glanced her way, so the chances that their ride would continue in silence were like 100%. Maybe 92. I think you're ready to go to sleep now. Sleep tight. Sweet dreams. Don't let the bed bugs bite.